Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Today is the absolute beginner's guide to beautifying your car without all the complexity of paint correction and 500 different pads and 600 different polishing machines. This is absolutely the bare minimum, most simple, cheapest way that you can get really good results, okay? And I mean good results. I'm going to show you the state of the paint and what we can do with these simple tools and low cost options. So first of all, guys, if you're discovering detailing, you know, whatever you want to call it, machine polishing is specifically what we're talking about. If you're discovering all this stuff for the first time, you need a machine polisher. When you go from someone that loves cars and loves washing your cars, at some stage you're going to take the jump from being that person to someone that then starts machine polishing your cars. There's nothing to be scared of with machine polishing. We're recommending you what's called a dual action polisher. So it's free spinning. So that rotation there, you can see me spinning it. It's not driven. It's sitting in a free spinning bearing that's offset 8mm on the axle, which does spin. So you get this funky old free spinning movement that you can stop if you push down too much. You won't stop the orbit, but you'll stop the rotation of the plate, which means it's doing very little. It's very hard to overheat paintwork and do any damage with a dual action polisher. That's why you recommend them. If you don't use them well, you're probably just not going to work the abrasives as efficiently. This little polisher here is called a DAA. It's from Into Detailing. The main thing is it's got tons of power and it's nice to hold because it's got a rubber grip. That's about it. And the price is good, guys. For 99 quid, that's a really solid price. And at the moment I shoot this video, I think Into Detailing, the only ones that stock this model and this type of dual action polisher in the UK. Really good machine. If you want to go cheaper than this, you've got to go down to the lower powered Argos dual action polisher, which I'm going to try and review, but you're not going to get the horsepower, and I'd recommend for that little extra bit of money you buy this because you can do everything with this, okay, if you want to cut even on hard paintwork. Now, the next thing is people are always asking me about pads, and pads are complicated because there's no pads and plates because there's no standards. But let's just keep it very simple. This polisher comes with a 5-inch plate as standard, so look for 5-inch pads to go on that polisher. It also comes with a 3-inch plate or 75mm plate. Don't talk too much because the more I talk, the more complexity it can bring in. So you're looking for 3-inch pads to go on this polisher, and you can swap out the plates with a little spanner that comes with the tool. Use this for tight areas, use this for motorbikes, use this for wings, front bumpers, recesses where you can't get a whopping great pad. Now what pads should you use? Guys, quite simple. Purple flex pads, the big 5-inch and the little 3-inch ones. These are a bit stiffer and they cut more, okay? But they're soft enough that they're not going to mar the paintwork. So you could single stage with them. Single stage just means using one pad, one product, polish, one set, done. Okay, you could go again if you wanted to. That's single stage. Sometimes with single stage, the risk is you've got machine marring there and you want to get a good cut and a good finish in one hit with single stage. So sometimes you want to use a softer pad. Or if you're using finishing polishes, you use softer pads. So you step down from the purple, if you want to orange pads, the flex pads, okay? 5-inch, 3-inch, all you need. These pads, okay, the thing with pads that separates them is how quickly the surface starts to break down and chunks start coming out the pads and they start delaminating. Because imagine you're working these, you're pushing into the paint a little bit. That's what separates pads in durability nowadays. They've sorted out the glues not ripping so much, so you shouldn't be ripping the pads away from the Velcro fitment. You know, if you're ruining the pad that way, something bad is going wrong with your technique. The pads should be lasting until they start to break down and chunks fall out of them. That's why I recommend these flex pads, whatever the colour, is they don't seem to break down as quick as other pads where they start disintegrating and chunks start coming out of them. They're sort of like a really strong form of foam. Okay, the downside is they cost more. If you want to use cheaper pads, check out Rupes pads, check out Zvizza pads, check out Hexlogic from Chemical Guys pads, but I recommend flex pads for the reason I've just said, or Shoal Concepts make awesome pads as well. Okay, so that's pads covered. Next, we're going to go on to abrasives choice, okay, and protection choice. This is lovely and simple. Super resin polish from Autoglym. Ultra high definition Wax from Autoglym. Okay, so what is this product? This product is can be known as a hand polish, can be called a glaze, you know, super resin polish. What it is a mixture of abrasives and resins that you use to beautify the surface of your paint. By working the abrasives on the surface, you'll remove fine scratches, and you'll also pack the paint out with a resin which will restore the colour clarity of the paintwork. So if you don't believe me, put it on by hand, don't rub it at all, and just let it set and then buff it, and you'll see an improvement. So that the abrasives aren't doing any work, then it's the fillers. But if you put this on by machine and work it by machine, you will work the abrasives more in this product. Yes, it does contain abrasives, okay, a small amount. But don't get confused about that. There's nothing to be confused about. Super resin polish, you know what it is. It explains it on the label and what I've just said. Why is super resin polish cool? Because it's relatively cheap. You can pick it up in Halfords. It works as good as virtually any glaze. The reason I'm hesitating is I've just been testing loads of polishes, hand polishes. So that's interesting. But this is a good polish that's been around for donkey's years, okay? You don't have to degrease. You don't have to use any panel wipe on it. In fact, you don't want to, because you'll be breaking down the resins you've just laid out. So you work it on the machine, you let it dry, you buff it off, and then what you've done is you've prepared, beautified, burnished your surface, and then you go and stick this wax on top, which is not a cheap wax, but it's a very, very good wax, lovely to use, hydrophobic, does everything. And then your car's protected, and that's it. You don't need tons of abrasives, tons of pads. It's very simple, and I'm going to show you how simple it is right now, because we're doing this all in one live take. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm also going to put the soft pad on, just to show you don't need to, you don't need to go crazy. And to show you can still do a lot of good work with this pad. I can see my missus through the window. She keeps opening the door and looking. She knows if she interrupts me when I'm doing a video, you're going to think I'm a psychopath. If she interrupts me when I'm mid-flow in a video, I go ballistic. But when she opens the door a few times and staring like that, I know something's maybe not urgent. Maybe she's made me a salad or something. But I'm going to just go and see what she wants. Then I'm going to come back and show you the target area. I'm back from the rude interruption. I just want to show you the paintwork before we get started, guys, because this is what it's all about, isn't it? So let's just let this camera sort itself out the focus. There it goes. It's pretty good to focus on this camera. So you can see, like, really, you see like that little light trail that goes up vertically up and down there. You see it, yeah? It moves around. That's the sort of hazing that you get when you have tons of scratches. You can see a little hazy quality to this. You can't really see the camera, can you? You can just see a sort of blurred light. What we're trying to do is get rid of all these fine scratches and just give us a clear panel that reflects the image a bit better. It looks nice. And when you do that, and you do it all over the car, polish the entire car, take it out, it looks lovely. So that's all we've got to achieve, nothing complicated, and we don't want to fill the car up with polish. So we want to manage our polish and use tape. That's the other thing. I'll put a link in the description for that green SP80 tape. Use it, okay, to stop pushing polish into all the little areas and polishing on top of rubbers and stuff like that, especially with this super resin polish. Right, now here is the important stuff. So I'll give this polish a good shake. This is the old, out of date, obsolete. It's been replaced by a lower dusting formula. But, I should really go and buy the latest one. This works fine, okay? So I'm going to use this product up. It works fine. So what I'm going to do is just put, it comes out quite quickly, just put 4 dots there of the super resin polish on my pad. And I'm just going to plonk this down. I don't like polishing on tape, but it's just so we've got a good, like, before and after. Just going to dot this out and work it. And guys, we're going to work quickly here. I'm going to show you working this product quickly, because you're going to want to get around the car in about an hour or so, aren't you? So let's go. Just drop the speed down to about 3, because this machine is very powerful. So we're running it on speed 3. So 2 passes, one vertical pass with 50% overlap, one horizontal pass with 50% overlap. You just saw me sort of sometimes going up and down because I've got a round edge on the pads. When the pad goes over the edge, where the round bits are, I might miss something. So if by just giving that a little extra up and down, I just catch that. It's just a habit. You don't really need to do that. You will catch it. But now what I want to do with Autoglym Super Resin Polish is just allow that product to dry haze. In fact, it's pretty much there. Working it by machine generates a little bit of heat, which is good, especially in winter, because it will just allow the solvent in it to kind of evaporate out. So you're looking for a dry haze. Let me bring this in so you can see what I'm talking about and zoom it in a little bit. And that will just come in focus. I wish I could go higher. In fact, I'm going to hold the camera in one hand. There we go. Look at that. There. Right, so you can see it. I've got a clean microfiber cloth. Okay, you can go and spend lots of money on towels and stuff like that. This is just a standard terry that came with a box of Meguiars products. Now the Autoglym product, just everything's back to front when I'm looking at it here, is very nice and light to buff. So I'm applying no pressure. I'm just buffing in circles. I've worked it a little bit there, so it's going to need a little bit of pressure. Let's just go over. So just there is where it's dried a little bit. So I'm just going to fold the cloth there, buff it over. That's done. The paintwork feels nice and smooth, which is good. And what we're going to do now is take the tape away and get the light on it so you can see the difference. So let's do that. Bring that up there. Take this off. Interesting. Just having a little precursory look. Getting my light. Okay, I'm going to lean the camera over. So just seeing what you see from the top. In fact, without the light, because this is like, I'll put the light on in a second, don't worry. You can see the area we've polished. There it is. Versus the area. There's good, so you're getting a good shot there of the reflection of the camera, which is interesting. So let me just carry on with this. So there you can see the area we've polished. And there you can see the area we haven't polished. Okay, it will come into focus. Now the focus is wandering. It's found the surface, so you can see the little chips in the surface. There's the area we've polished. It's found the reflection rather than the surface with the autofocus. Let's get the light on. Now, we don't have a perfect surface here, guys. Let me just show you. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull the camera a bit wider so you can actually see what we're looking at. You can see the edges. So there's an edge there. Right, we've got the light there. Okay, and we're going to go across the panel. You're probably seeing still the odd defect in this paintwork. Okay, and we're through to the next edge. We go up, and then we'll come back across. I'm holding the camera tripod with one arm and the light with the other, so it's a bit difficult, but it's giving you an idea. And if we come outside of the area, you know, there, we've got all that horrible loss of colour and that hazing from the excess of scratches, okay? So, there you go. Outside, no polishing. Inside, polishing. And a much better paintwork. So, there are no... Let's finish this video off. Oh, I know we're missing one step now. So you go ahead and you do that over the entire car, no panel wipe, buffing down, swap your microfibers out. So as always, after each set, guys, just take a dedicated toothbrush, not the one that you use inside. Have one dedicated for polish removal, and just turn the machine on slow speed and just work the toothbrush over the surface of the pad to just remove dead polish and material and clean up and free up the pores of the pad. You don't want this all gunked up with polish. So you want to be able to see the little holes. Okay? You might also want to have 2 orange pads, so you could swap out those orange pads. Or if you've got original hard German paint, you might want to use the purple pads as we talked about. So you're either the purple or the orange, pretty much all you need to follow these instructions. If in doubt, go with the lesser aggressive orange pads. Now we're ready to wax. The great news is we don't have to degrease. This has primed our surface, okay, with resins and fillers and abrasives have cleaned any oxidisation off of it, and it's an ideal surface to put a paste wax. So, you know, this is pretty obvious what to do. You get your wax applicator, don't put loads of wax on, tiny little bit of wax, and then buff your wax on in circles. Yes, in circles. Do not give me any of that rubbish about straight lines or any of that stuff. Wax is quite heavy. So if you go in straight lines, you don't spread it properly. You need to buff in circles, okay? You need to spread in circles. So just gentle circles on the paint, and we'll spread the wax properly. You can damp your microfiber applicator as well, actually. You need first, brand new applicator, a bit dry, so, but it's fine. It's fine. It's just that first little rub. So I'm putting little discs of the product on. And if I was going in straight lines, it'd be an absolute nightmare. But there we go. So that's it. So I put my nice little discs of wax there, which I'll show you. Okay, sorry. It's this way we want to go. Everything's reversed, isn't it? Once you've finished applying wax to your car or a section of your car, depending on the wax, some waxes like Autoglym high definition wax, you've got to apply it to the entire car, no matter how long you leave it. I could go away for a week and come back and it will still buff off the car okay. Some other waxes that are formulated differently, if you left them for too long, they might be a nightmare to dry. So always follow the instructions of the application for the product you're using. With most waxes, I am looking for a dry cure so that, yes, when I run my finger over it, it's like a crust rather than an oily film. That's what I'm looking for with this particular wax. Again, some show waxes never fully cure, so it depends on the product. But it's a good idea to let a wax cure on that surface. It does affect the durability. So perhaps a 10-minute cure would be more ideal, but I'm just going to buff now because I can see, for the purposes of this video, you know, it'll do. I can't be bothered to pause it and come back 10 minutes later. Now let's just set the camera up because you want to see the buff, don't you? It's a bit of a money shot. Oh, shall I do one? I'm going to do a one-handed thing. Lift the camera up. So here we go. The one-handed, left-handed buff. Little circles gently. Do not buff hard. So if there's any grit lying around, that's what will scratch clear coat. If it's a good wax, you shouldn't need to buff hard. And you can see here how easy this product is coming off, and that's it, it's done. And now I have a section of paintwork on my car that is polished, has none of this horrible haze, and you can even see the haze, can't you? You can see like the white haze over here, and you know, it's kind of gone here, even when I've got the light there. So we've improved this bit of paint radically, and the next thing would be to go round and do that on the entire car. Finally, guys, there's no rocket science to this. There's no master's degree in machine polishing needed. What's going to go wrong? One, make sure you wash the thing properly and you've got a properly clean car before you polish it, okay? Two, make sure you clay it properly because you have to get all those little stuck-on bits of contamination off of the paintwork to make the paintwork feel nice and smooth. People say to me, can you wax a car without claying? Well, yes, but the purpose of putting wax on a car is to kind of provide a layer between the paintwork and the environment and stop all of those little bits of contamination that get stuck on the paintwork. You know, they're going to sit on the film and hopefully they won't bond to the paintwork. So it's a protection thing. So what's the point of putting wax on top of that contamination? You've defeated the objects of waxing your car. So wash it properly, take the time to decontaminate it, and behind the wheels and those lower areas and the rear is where all that contamination is going to be. And even if you're using a all-in-one hand glaze type SRP type product, take your time when you go around the car, deliver your set piece, clean your pad, buff it properly, tape up any rubbers, work your way around the car. Areas like this, do not just take your polisher, slam dunk it on top of this and go up and down in like 10 seconds and then buff it, because you'll just make a mess. You won't really correct the paintwork. You'll just be going around your car making mess. That's the trap to avoid falling into. Take your time, tape all that up, put the 75mm plate on there. Just get a good chunk of that pad on there and then work your way slowly up and down there and do the same thing on that little section of paint that you would on the roof. Make sure it's been hit by the same amount, buff it. That's the difference between doing it properly. And, you know, make sure you polish this little section down here with a good set. Get the right size pad on, all that sort of stuff. Take your time and do the bits of, on the bumper where you've got areas of paintwork that you're going to see and all that sort of stuff. Don't just do the trap that quite a lot of people do, start polishing your bonnet and do an amazing job on the bonnet. You've got an A1 job on the bonnet, and then you get bored after an hour and you start getting faster on the sides, and then it gets to 3 o'clock and you think, I've only got an hour left. You do the rest of the car in 1 hour and you've spent like 3 hours on the bonnet. Try and be consistent, plan your time in advance. If you know you've only got like 8 hours, try and get all your washing and decon done within 1.5 hours, so you've got 5.5 hours polishing time, and you know, plan it through is my advice. Get the tape, don't leave any polish on the car. So that's it, guys. Take your time. How often should you be doing this? At least once a year. It's down to personal preference. You don't want to be machine polishing your car even with a glaze every month. You know, ideally about once a year, you know, a wash, a decontamination, a light polish and a protection in whatever format, the myriad of options you've got, you should be doing. When your paint starts to look bad again, if you do all this, get it looking good, and then in 6 months' time you look at the paint and it's got all those horrible, it's lost the clarity, it's covered in fine scratches and it's got little lumps of contamination, then you need to decontaminate and polish again. If you check it and it isn't, then you don't. So there's no set time. That's a very, very common question. But at least once a year, I would say a car that you're using will benefit from a decontamination, and you have to polish after decontaminating. This is the easiest and quickest way to do it. Is it the most appropriate way? No, it isn't. The most appropriate way is to wash the car down, decontaminate the car, and then inspect it and paint depth gauge it. You know, spend maybe an hour surveying the car and looking at it, and then do proper paint correction, you know, and maybe your best choice will be to use a heavy cutting compound and then finish it out with a finishing polish, or even a light cutting compound and finish it out, or just a finishing polish. Who knows? It depends on that inspection, what, you know, and the paint depth gauge reading and what you want to do. That's the professional approach. But for guys at home, just a light polish with a glaze and a wax is probably what 99% of the population are doing. And following the instructions in this video and some of the little tips I've given you should hopefully really help. So, one day detail, I'll put all of the products in the description. Could I use a different polish and a different wax? Absolutely. And I think people are going to really, it's going to bug people that I've mentioned Autoglym. I'm telling you, it's as good as anything really for what you're doing. It won't really matter, but you could definitely use something like Built Hamber Cleanser Polish. It's interesting. Cold temperatures, it's gone solid. I could take that indoors and just get it all shaken up. And a Built Hamber double speed wax or Finny wax, virtually exactly the same kind of thing. Tiny differences between the products, really. You could use Poorboys Black Hole on a dark car, that'd be great. You could use Auto Finesse Triple and an Auto Finesse wax. A really good product, which I should have mentioned actually, that I quite like, is the Meguiars 3-in-1 wax. I think this is a good product because you don't have to wax afterwards. It will polish, protect, you know, all that in one little shot. It's not bad actually. It's not bad. Nice and hydrophobic. The protection isn't that durable, so you'll get better durability with a 2-stage, but the Meguiars 3-in-1 wax, I'll link that in the description. You can buy that from Halfords as well. That's decent. Use that on a soft pad, just like I've done in this video. So guys, thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions, whack them in the comments and I'll have a go. Try and make the questions more about processes and procedure rather than products. Yes, you can swap out cutting pad X with brand of your choice and wax X with wax Y. Of course you can. Don't just go and ditch your products that you've got on your shelf, because I'm telling you, if you've got a half decent hand glaze from a decent company, very few products that aren't going to be fit for purpose. You know, use them. If you're getting poor results, try and understand why. Understand that super resin polish isn't a heavy cutting compound. So yes, if you're expecting to take super resin polish on hard German paint that's heavily swirled using a light pad and 2 passes and it just perfects the paint, no, it won't. It's not always the most suitable solution, but I've just demoed you in this video for 99% of cars that are swirled up. You can just stick it on and you can see the level of improvement that you get from heavily swirled to 1 or 2 little marks here and there. So it's going to, I could go around the car and just do this. And I may well do. When it comes to paint correction time, I'll probably use pure abrasives and then degrease and put a different type of product on. But this method is 99% as good or 90% as good for a fraction of the time, so that's why I wanted to demo it. So super resin polish, ultra high definition wax equals one good looking car. And I'll end with a little pan of the car. It looks great from back here, doesn't it? Looks great. All this wings all hazed up and the bonnet. I'm not going to be going ahead and polishing the car right now. We'll do that after I've had all the paintwork done, as I said before. This is just a demo. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I?